What's going on, guys and gals? Thank you so much for joining us once again. I know it's been a few days, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Donald Trump Miss Universe 1996 slander controversy. And this whole issue is not really a woman's issue. It's not really a political issue. It's not really a, human justice issue. So before any of those people, this anti-social justice warrior folks come after me, that's not what this is about. But it's just about the overall recognition of what's right and wrong, and who do we want to be leader of this country? Who are we portraying as the next potential president of the United States? And pretty much we got two clowns in the running. I am not a Hillary Clinton fan. I am also not a Donald Trump fan by any means. And I'm not like one of those just ignorant haters that just hates either Hillary or Donald just because of all the hearsay and all the, the political garbage that everyone else spews out from time to time. And if we look, into the scandal of the Miss Universe lady from 1996, I can't think of her name. I probably should have done a little bit more research on that. Oh well. Anyway, so apparently she says Donald Trump is extremely creepy. He's extremely stalkerish. He's demeaned her. He's objectified her. He's fat shamed her. And he also, made a slanderous, racist remark and called her the cleaning lady or some type of, innuendo like that, just to sort of, insult her for being Latin American or of Spanish descent or whatever the case is. He also called her Miss Piggy. He also said she eats too much. And to quote Donald Trump himself, he said, Miss Universe of so-and-so, blah, 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 has gained a continuous amount of weight, which is a problem. And that's just super offensive, super disappointing. And you would think Donald Trump would at least attempt to take this campaign seriously, to take the men and women of this country seriously, and also the minorities of this country seriously, but clearly he doesn't. He wants to ride that thin line where he wants to be sort of friends with everybody, and he wants to represent minority groups, but at the same time he wishes to insult minority groups, insult women, and all that stuff that he's been doing recently. So it's like, who is really going to, the ball is basically in Donald Trump's court at this point. It's also in Hillary's court at this point. I am not a political analyst or I'm pretty much apolitical at this point. And the degenerate and disappointing and just overall clownish acts of these two ridiculous clowns of an excuse for a politician is basically why I'm apolitical. Obviously there's certain things I believe in, there's certainly certain things I stand for, but never ever should you put your 100% faith or your 100% vote or your 100% vision in somebody that's not really invested in you. Okay, Hillary Clinton doesn't care about you guys. Donald Trump doesn't care about you guys. I don't really think Bernie Sanders really cared all that much, although he, was probably the lesser of all the evils. Of course, you've got the independent, politicians that are running, and the people are going to come at me and say, oh, you should definitely try to vote for somebody, even if it's just, like an independent candidate or something. I did forget to shave this morning, so I don't know how this is going to show up on camera. But there's really no reason to vote for somebody you know nothing about, that really doesn't have any vested interest in you. All these politicians are looking after themselves. They're all trying to further their own goals. They're all being paid off by somebody. Donald Trump there's no secret that not necessarily that he's being paid off by people, but he's got all the money in the world. And what does that tell you? That tells you that he's of a different social status. He's of a different privilege. Notice how I said the word privilege, and he doesn't really care about me or probably the majority of you wonderful people watching this video. We need to be real conscious of, I would encourage people not to vote in the 2016 election unless you kind of want to play that neutral field and be like, oh, well, if I don't vote, then I'm going to just, be basically like a mindless drone who doesn't have the right to complain about politics or society or issues because I didn't vote. I don't believe that. I think you take a lot of charge. I think you take a lot of power from not voting. That way you're not responsible for the clownish acts of some fool you elected. The last time I voted was in 2008, and I wouldn't say I regretted it because it was nice to, experience the voting process and sort of get a feel for the power of voting, what it's like to vote. But if I could go back and redo it, I wouldn't have voted. The only reason I did is because my parents really wanted me to vote for Obama. They were like, please, please vote for Obama. He's going to be like the next Jesus Christ superstar. He turned out not to be a very, good president at all, sadly. Let's go back to the Miss Universe scandal. This is just an issue of you know, do we really want somebody that fat shames women, who humiliates women, who also, you know, humiliates, you know, other demographics of society, minorities? Now, I know I'm not going to sit here and say that Donald Trump is a racist or that he's necessarily even a woman hater, but he does have misogynistic traits against women he finds less valuable, less desirable. And if you look at his wife, he does have a, you know, specific body preference that he thinks all women should live up to, and if they don't, then they're basically fat pigs and Miss Piggies and all sorts of things. Now, I don't really know a whole lot about what his actual agenda is as of the last few, you know, recent months, because he hasn't said anything about it. He gets on stage and basically, you know, just makes that face and tries to debunk all Hillary's theories, and hasn't set up a plan for what he's going to do. Not that Hillary has really set up a plan for what she's going to do. She's basically apparently a liar and a fraud, and she's apparently not in very, you know, decent physical health, as far as, not that Donald Trump is in decent physical health at all. I do not want to see Donald Trump without his clothes on. Let me just tell you that. I'm not sure how he's able to keep all these beautiful women. I guess it's that all that cash he's you know, spending around here. If anybody is voting for Donald Trump, or if any of you viewers are voting for Hillary, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not trying to get people to unsubscribe to me just because I'm not voting, or just because I don't like Trump or Hillary. But at least try to look for an alternative, people. I mean, please, dude, there's got to be an alternative. It's like that Facebook meme with Jim Carrey where he's going, you know, because it's like you got to either vote for Hillary or Trump, and that's basically what it's come down to. There's you know, 500,000, you know, a quarter of, I don't know how many millions of billions of people are on this earth, and we've narrowed it down to the two biggest clowns that we could possibly narrow it down to. I mean, it's gone from bad to worse. I mean, at least, you know, back in 2008, you know, even the 2012 election. Yeah, something like that, 4-year difference. Yeah, at least back then we had people that were engaged and had experience in politics. And obviously Hillary does have, you know, experience in politics, but she's not trustworthy. She's not a very, you know, honest person. So why would we want to vote for that? And then we have Donald Trump, the incredibly egocentric, creepy, as Miss Universe called this man creepy, said she was afraid of him. You can see how deviant his behavior was in some of those videos, like back when he was young. And I think this is only the tip of the iceberg for all the deviant, you know, misogynistic, crazy, insane, mentally unstable, you know, incredibly, you know, psychopathic, sociopathic behavior that Donald Trump has been known to perpetrate, you know, against people that he doesn't find, you know, desirable or worthy or living up to his standards. So guys, I hope you guys, you know, can maybe get a fresh political perspective of this, my views on politics. I've never talked about my views on politics on this channel, so I thought it would be interesting. Working on some new paintings here, always painting, always trying to be creative. So until next time, I love you guys so much, and don't vote in 2016.